Welcome, everybody, to the Vikings Playbook podcast. Again, we have another week of Vikings news for you with OTAs. So, even though we have some exciting news that we'll get to here in just a little bit, I do have to make sure that I give a shout out to our sponsor, and that's Badass Wood Art. Vikings Playbook is brought to you by our podcast sponsor, That's Badass Wood Art. Go to their website and use code PLAYBOOK to receive 10% off on any products on their website. That's pretty badass. Now, if you're not already following us, make sure that you're doing it on X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But you can also watch this stream on purpleptsd.com. Check out more Vikings news daily with everything that not only that I'm writing, but all the other great writers over at purpleptsd.com. We're giving you guys Purple News Daily. So go check it out. Great writers over there, and also our sister website, vikingsterritory.com. As always, guys, with Vikings Playbook, your Sunday starts here, and we're going to bring you all the Vikings news that we had from just this last week, from last time when we had Greg Holcomb on, J.J. McCarthy's quarterback coach. We talked a lot of J.J. McCarthy, but we didn't have the opportunity to really see OTAs kind of play out and how practices were going. So now we had OTAs this last week, so that's going to be a big talker. So as always, in the chat, if you guys have questions or comments, as you see in the ticker, make sure that you send your questions and comments in there. I'll go ahead and bring them up. And if you're not already a subscriber, we are doing a giveaway for a Jordan Addison jersey. So if you haven't seen this already, Jordan Addison autographed jersey. But you got to be a subscriber, guys. So make sure that you go to YouTube. Make sure Vikes Playbook is what you put in the search bar. Go ahead and subscribe. Set your alerts so you never miss a podcast either. But by just being a subscriber, once we get to 250, we're going to go ahead and do a drawing out of our subscribers. I have some more jerseys and autographed mini helmets that I'm going to be doing some giveaways this year. I also do a cool card break as well, too, that we'll talk about and get to, but a cool card break that I typically do on this podcast at the end of the podcast. This is a 101. If you guess this week, we've had two winners. I think we've done this 5 times now and had 2 winners. I'm also going to do another giveaway. If someone guesses the team for the player that pops in this, they're not only going to get this 101 today, they're also going to get this J.J. McCarthy rookie card red, white, and blue out of the select. Okay, so we're going to do an additional giveaway this week, so that's pretty cool. All right, Sutter Hayes. Yeah, what giveaway? We're doing not only Jordan Addison jerseys, but again, a Jordan Addison jersey for once we get to 250. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. You have to be a subscriber on Vikes Playbook on YouTube. So go ahead and make sure that you're on there. And then, again, card break at the end of the podcast. We'll go ahead and do that, and we'll have a possible winner for not only this 1-of-1 card that you may win, or if you win that, you're also going to get this red, white, and blue select rookie card, J.J. McCarthy. Very cool. Also, make sure that you're following us on fantasy15football.com. That's the other podcast and website that I run as well, too. We're getting close to fantasy football season, so we'll have those podcasts up and running, making sure that you guys are ready for your fantasy football season with rankings, waiver wire advice, sit-start recommendations, and trade analysis to help you guys win your league. Make sure that you're following them on fantasy15football.com or fantasy15FB on socials. So cool stuff there as well, guys. Let's go ahead and get into our news, right? You guys probably heard it. You saw it. We got a new GM. We got a new general manager. The Vikings have hired Nolan Teasley as the new general manager for the Vikings. And he comes in from the Seattle Seahawks. He was the assistant GM out there. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about our new GM, Nolan Teasley. So in the comments, if you guys have any comments that you guys want to talk about, make sure that you put them in there. Let's talk about it a little bit with Nolan Teasley. All right. Let me switch this up. There we go. All right. So Nolan Teasley, guys, he's the new GM. Rob Brzezinski is still going to stay with the team. So we had thought that maybe he would get promoted, and he would be like the team president and get promoted, but still retain him. Sounds like he's going to go back to his executive vice president role that he's going to have on the team. So Teasley's going to come in, be the new GM. Rob Brzezinski goes back to his old role, so we still get to retain that expertise. One of the best in the league, Rob Brzezinski, at what he was doing, especially with the salary cap and managing that for us. We get Nolan Teasley from the Seahawks. He knows what it takes to win. They just won the Super Bowl there in Seattle. They've had great success lately with some of the draft picks that they've had as well too. So we know that even just in this last draft, and I know I snapped some of this too, but we just take a look at some of Nolan Teasley's draft selections. Now he wasn't making them, but he had a piece of that, and he was pretty heavy as far as he was a scout, right? He was assistant director of pro personnel and director as well too. And he's been the assistant manager over in Seattle for a couple of years. But some of the picks that they've made, even just this last couple of years, Byron Murphy. So Byron Murphy on their defensive line. That's a big one, right? AJ Barner's getting some playing time for them. Gray Zabel. I'm a big NDSU fan, so Gray Zabel, huge pick for them. A lot of people were skeptical of that, and he had a great year last year. Nick Emenwari, Elijah Arroyo, tight end. That's begin some playing time. Torrey Horton, who they drafted in the 5th round, has been really effective as a wide receiver when he's came in there and played as well too. So those are just some of the picks they've made in just the last 2 years, and that was kind of a big story of Seattle. Is some of their success was because they had good drafting, and that has been one of the things that we have not been doing. Is we haven't been drafting well. We've been trying to supplant our faults from the draft through free agency with older players, and we need to get younger as a team. We need to start having success through the draft. Now, I gave to Rob Brzezinski online, and I thought that with everything that he had to overcome with once Kwesi got fired, hey, we're an old team. We need to get younger. With draft picks, I thought that he did a good. I thought he did a pretty good job in the draft. I mean, we have to see how these draft picks play out, but we invested in the trenches, and as long as those two players pan out in the trenches, Dominique Orange and then of course Caleb Banks, man, that's huge success. If we can have starters out of those two players that are playing well. Jake Golday seems like he's got a lot of flexibility. He has the ability to maybe people are saying that he an Andrew Van Ginkel type. So we'll have to see for sure. Taroki, thanks for jumping in. He says Viking Super Bowl. We'll see. I mean, we'll see. Now that we have Nolan Teasley in the seat, we'll have to see if he can bring some success here, bring some of that magic. That would be great. Kinetic's with us. He says, "What up, Steve? SKOL brother." Kinetic, if you're not busy, you want to jump in, you want to talk some GM talk or Vikings, go ahead. I can send you a quick link here too if you want. If you're not busy, go ahead and jump in with us, Kinetic. But Nolan Teasley, so he's got a crazy good reputation as far as being able to identify talent. Is one of those up and comers that has been voted on throughout the league, and he was highly regarded, right, for being a strong pro and college scout. They like his leadership style and everything that he brought to Seattle. We're hoping that he can bring it here. There was also a lot of talk that the Seahawks GM John Schneider was also had a part to play as far as kind of pitching Nolan Teasley as well here too, but he had a piece of helping build that roster in Seattle that won a Super Bowl. And so, I mean, Seattle and the people over there are giving him some credit. Now, what he does is out of the candidates that we had, he was the only outsider. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing for this team. He comes in, he's got he's got no ties to Kevin O'Connell. He's got no ties to the Vikings organization. He's coming from a winning organization to what it takes to win. And, there is talks, that him, Rob Brzezinski, Kevin O'Connell, they're going to take a look at personnel. A lot of contracts were coming due here. So they're going to take a look at a lot of the staff for the Vikings, and there could be some big changes coming possibly. And I think some of that could be a good thing. Maybe bringing in some individuals that not saying that we don't have a lot of good things going, because we do, but maybe we have to make some changes to win and to win a Super Bowl. So if that's what it takes, I mean, obviously I'm all for it. Kinetic says, I don't think Golday is a Gink replacement. I think he's a Cashman Wilson replacement. No, I hear you, but a lot of people are saying that some of that Gink to him, to where he can kind of play, um, some of the things that Gink does. Like, they think Golday can also, a lot of people have been saying, like, uh, able to play multiple positions and do a lot of things well. So they like that flexibility for sure. Two Tones with us. Two Tones says, I hope he's good. He's good in draft though. Yeah, I mean, we need a GM that's going to be good for us in the draft for sure. Uh Orosada, I hope you're okay. I see your comment in there too. I hope you're good, brother. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been good in helping that draft room, and the scouting experience has been really helpful for the Seattle Seahawks. We want him to bring there. But some of those challenges are going to be taking a look at the Vikings. He's going to have to evaluate our situation that we got at quarterback. Now that he's in there at GM, I think it's good to have an outside perspective. He's not tied to JJ McCarthy. He's not tied to Kyler Murray. So he's going to come in here with an open mind, especially with our quarterback situation and where it is and how these two perform. Not only, I mean, obviously Kevin O'Connell is going to have a big say as a quarterback, as the coach, as far as how they're doing as a quarterback. But in the long term future of this team and form this season, our GM, Nolan Teasley, is going to have a hand in how that plays out. He's also going to have a hand in how well does Kevin O'Connell continue to coach this team. And I think that's good for this organization as well too. We have a lot of players that are going to be free agents. There's a long list of them. I want to say that there's at least 20 key players that are coming up for new contracts next year, and that's probably way off. It's a lot more than 20, but I know like key players. There's at least 20 of them that are coming up. They're due for contracts next year, so there's a lot to look at. He's going to be able to take a look at what our looks like. Whether it's hey, there's some of these guys we need to retain. Do we need to look in free agency? But obviously, we need to get it right in the draft, and we need to get younger and better as a team and cheaper, right? So we need to get a little bit, and that's part of that is building through the draft with young guys and not in free agents with crazy tracks, especially if they're a little bit longer in the tooth. We want to get these younger free agents, if that's possible, on good deals that are going to free up and give us some flexibility, because we can't get in the cap situation that we were before, where we're almost 50 million over the cap and struggling just to try to get under retainer players, and then we have no flexibility to fill some of the holes in free agency. I think Rob Brzezinski still did a really good job of doing that this year. Real quick, Kinetic, I don't know if you saw that, but I'm sending you a quick, as soon as I can find you in here. I'm going to send you a link. If you're wanting to join, you absolutely can with us. Just looking for you here now, Kinetic. There you are. All right. I'm sending you. If you want to join up, absolutely do so. All right. So Nolan Teasley. I mean, you guys in the comments, outsider, was that a good thing? The rest of the candidates all had a connection, and to come in here with an outsider's perspective. He's going to be able to take a look at our staff, our coaches. Hey, is this a winning culture? Are we doing winning things? Are we doing things that result in getting closer to the goal of winning a Super Bowl? So I think that we hit a home run from the outside looking in, at least from the surface. Looking at the surface of here, we did what we needed to do. We hired somebody from the outside, brought him into the organization that's coming from a winning football team, and has part of helping to make them a winning football team. So we hired somebody. I think that it's a good fit. Good fit. At the same time, we retained Rob Brzezinski, who is a huge part of the Minnesota Vikings, and a good part of that because he's been that individual that's at least been doing what he can and working miracles with our salary cap for years. Um, so I really like what we and somehow whatever the Wilfs did to make sure that Rob Brzezinski, and props to him too. He didn't get the job. He applied for it, but he's not letting his ego get too big to where he's just like, I didn't get the job, so I'm out. He loves this team. He loves this organization. He's been here for like 28 years. And he says, you know what? Love the organization, and I want to be here, and I think that's great. That's incredible that they were able to retain him, even going back into his old role. There's some people that would say, I'm out of here. I put in this much time. I did the role. I did good in the draft. You didn't, and you still didn't. I'm out. Not Rob. So Rob deserves a lot of love, appreciation for the fact that he's putting what's best for the organization, um, and still willing to add to it as well too. All right, Kinetic joining us. Eric,
What's
how
going
we
on?
doing?
Doing all right yourself?
Good. So how you feeling about the hire of Nolan Teasley?
I mean, I don't, I don't know a lot about him. I just know what I've
Hmm.
seen and heard about him in the last week or so.
Yeah.
But it seems everything I've seen seems like a good hire. He's got a scouting background. He's been with the Seahawks for 13 years, I think.
Hmm.
Um, was
Like 2000,
you
I
know
think, something like that.
2013. So what I saw was that he was a longtime football guy. He
Hmm.
left football for a short time to do like marketing or something,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then he
yep.
came back in 2013. And since 2013, he's been on the Seahawks. He's been there for two Super Bowls. He's got a scouting background, but he's also, you know, one of the one of the selling points on Quasey was that he was going to be able to take what all the scouts and the experts were giving him and then run it through his system to make decisions, right?
Hmm.
From everything I've seen, Teasley's the same thing, except he's got the football background that Quasey did. So it appears to be a really good hire. Um, I'm skeptical about how much power he actually has because I think KOC's got more power than head coaches mostly do, or usually do. I think keeping Brzezinski, he's going to have a bit of power, probably more than most cap guys do for most teams, considering he's been on the Vikings for what 28 years, something like that.
But I think him coming from the outside gives him the opportunity to not have the power struggle. I feel like if they would have
Yeah,
brought in, someone else that had a connection in here, I think that would have been more of a, if they had a connection, whether that be to KOC. I think that there's, as far as, now the coach has maybe more power and more say, or if there's a relationship factor there, with like Terrence Gray. He spent so much time in this organization. If he was the hire, not saying it would have been bad, but in the fact when we talk about how much power do they have, I think that there's a dynamic there where if Nolan Teasley's coming from the outside and coming into the organization, I think he's going to have the ability to have that power and not worry about, I've had this long time connection to KOC, like he was the guy,
Right.
and I was here, type of deal. I don't think Nolan has that. Now I get what you're saying, but I think maybe that's why Rob is going back to his old role and they didn't give him a promoted role.
Well, it's really interesting too because okay, as far as KOC, I mean, I've got my issues with KOC, but I firmly believe that him and Flores have final say on the 53-man roster. And not, I mean, a lot of teams they don't do that. A lot of teams the GM has the final say with heavy input from the coaches. But I don't think the GM, I don't think Teasley's going to be able to come in and overrule the guys that they want on the roster. And then you got Brzezinski, who handles the salary cap and the contract negotiations in large part.
Mm-hmm.
And while the Wolves said that they don't want to have somebody in the position of president of football operations, I saw earlier that Brzezinski does have the VP of football operations title. So is he above the GM? Are they equal? I don't know.
No, he's going back to his old role that he was in. So I mean, it's not a promotion. He's just going back to where he was before. So he came in as an interim. He's just going back to where he was previously. Now, it doesn't mean that he has no power, no say, because he's had a say for several years.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that Nolan coming in, there's no connection to Rob. I don't think he's gonna. I think initially, Rob, especially with the new staffing decisions that they're going to have, I think Rob's going to help him out a little bit as far as who's
Well,
been
and that's
doing
my
what.
question because
Yep.
Kwesi didn't get rid of any of the scouting department from the previous coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
So does Teasley have the autonomy to turn over some of that department, or do they want to keep the same guys that they've had? Is he going to be able to bring in his own assistant GMs? I assume he will. I can't imagine that Grigson's going to stay there as an assistant GM when he was a Kwesi hire. But outside of the assistant GMs, I don't think Kwesi did any turnover in the departments that he oversaw.
Sure.
Most of the time, a lot of times, GMs come in and they do that. So are the Wilfs going to let him do that? I don't know. And then
we'll have to see.
And then, like I said, draft time comes next year or free agency. If a coach says, if Kevin O'Connell says, I want this guy, and Teasley says, I don't think it's a good idea, does KOC get to overrule him?
So a lot of how the coaching world works, as far as how they get hired, it's all who you know. It's not so much of a here's my resume. We look at it, we bring everyone in. A lot of how that works, and this is from me talking to other coaches, and them telling me, this is how some of the hires work. So when Flores brought in some of the vacancies that they had, I was doing some research. I guess we'll just put it that way. I was doing some research, and also I had a friend that was looking for coaching jobs too, and I won't drop so many names, but anyways, as far as how some of that works was, Brian Flores already had a guy in mind. For some of those hires. So, I think coaches, and yes, that's how it works for a lot of teams. I mean, yes, is the general manager gonna have a say in it? Sure, but I think on a lot of these coaching decisions, how much does a GM truly know?
Okay, but hold on though. Hold on. Look at the most successful teams. I don't think that Howie Roseman is getting overruled by the coaches on who they pick in the draft or who they sign in free agency.
Do you think Andy Reid's getting overruled?
Well, again, but I'm saying, look at the like the Seahawks, look at the Rams, Look at the the Lions. Dan Campbell's not overruling Brad Holmes. Howie Roseman's not getting overruled.
But I don't think if he wants to bring in a coach, the GM's saying no.
Well, no, I'm not talking necessarily about the coaches. I'm talking about the players.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes for the players so much, somewhat like that too. I mean, other than if you made an investment, say that you made an investment in like a third, fourth, even a fifth round pick. Um, yeah, some talk's going to go into that as far as like when Ivan Pace made the team initially as the undrafted free agent. So he's coming onto the team. He's taking a spot potentially of somebody that you invested capital into.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, a GM, that's going to be a conversation. But I mean, ultimately, like if the coach is telling you, like, this guy can't play in my scheme.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm not saying the coaches shouldn't have a say. Okay. And in most cases, I would say that the GM is probably gonna, take whatever the coaches are recommending and go with that most of the time. But there are situations where a coach is going to want a player for a reason that doesn't actually is not as beneficial for the team. They're going to want a player because they think they need that player to save their job. They want a player, but it's going to affect the salary cap negatively, and they don't care about that. But the GM has to care about that, right? So like the GM has to look long term, where the coach sometimes has to look short term. And in those situations, I want my GM to have the ability to tell the coach no.
And I think you have that with Nolan Teasley as an outsider more than what you have with any of the other prospects that we had that were already from this organization.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not so high on Kevin O'Connell recently that maybe I'm just not I don't trust him. But I feel like he over the last year, especially with Kwesi getting fired, I think he's probably made a play for more power and control over the 53. And I would be surprised if he doesn't have final say on the 53 right now.
And I think I think that's a valid concern from a lot of Vikings fans, and that's why I think Nolan Teasley and a lot of people were saying, hey, we need somebody from the outside and not somebody that's coming from the inside that maybe, again, I'm just bringing up Gray as an example. He was here for a long time, where Rob Brzezinski was the guy.
Yeah.
So this just say that Gray came in here. So now does Rob have more because there was this dynamic for such a long time? You know, um,
Well,
or the guy
I do think
from LA.
I do think that Rob Brzezinski probably got a little bit more power just because he filled the role, and then he didn't. A lot of people. I don't think. I think Rob's probably a exception to this, regardless. But a lot of people going from cap guy to interim GM and then not getting the GM job probably starts to look elsewhere. I
Sure.
don't think Rob would have looked elsewhere either way, but I'm willing to bet that he got something extra from the Wilfs, either expanded power or more pay or something. I'm willing to bet they gave him something. But no, like I said, I'm not trying to be down on the hire. I like Teasley, and I'm optimistic that it'll work out. I just question how much power does he have? How much traditional GM power does he actually have? Can he say no in certain situations to the coaches where you would usually see a GM have that ability to? And that's kind of a concern for me. Not again, I don't think it's a concern right now. I'm just thinking long term.
Sure.
2 years from now, if KOC is looking to be on the hot seat and he wants to make a move that's a short term move that potentially hurts us long term, does Teasley have the ability to say no? And I'm not sure he does,
And we'll have to see. I mean,
because ultimately that's going to come from the Wilfs, and the Wilfs love KOC.
well, they like Nolan Teasley. They hired Nolan Teasley to do the job. Hopefully, he's going to get the opportunity to really fill that role. I want to welcome some of the other guys joining us. Norris says, "What's up, Steve? Kinetic, appreciate
Love
that."
Norris.
We got Bob Swede in the house. Barber Fade Up says he's present.
Barber Swede.
I appreciate you guys joining us, definitely. And then let's move into some of these other topics. But before that, again, because we're going to move into the OTAs, I got a quick video that I want to play you guys too as we move into OTAs. I'm calling this the hits and rips that we saw just over this last week with OTAs.
All right.
A year under my belt, I come out here and, and I was actually trying to get better in certain details and certain crafts.
Just getting better every day. That's our goal. Whatever position you do, just building that chemistry and getting better every day.
Get better. The main thing. Keep the main thing the main thing. Let's get better every day. To be here with a guy like Murph on year 8 and me on year 7, it's just crazy to be on the other side. You remember being a young guy.
All right, play that next piece. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the OTAs, some of the things that we spoke about. The next one's going to be talking about McCarthy and Murray. So let's talk about some of the other things maybe that we saw at OTAs. I mean, obviously the defensive tackle rotation. Caleb Banks isn't quite in there yet, but we did see some interesting things that I think I saw not only from social media, but Tyrion Ingram Dawkins has lost a lot of weight, and it was pointed out that he could be looking to play an edge role.
Mhm.
And could that be a thing this year where we see a player like Tyrion Ingram Dawkins switching roles, and maybe we see him, and I want to say it was Nate. Yeah, Nate Battle to Heaven as the one that I saw on social media bring that up. I want to make sure I give him credit. But Tyrion Ingram Dawkins could be switching over to edge, lost a lot of weight. And, Vikings fan page did a side-by-side too, showing that he lost a bunch of that weight as well too. But Jadeveon Clowney's still out there. June 1st here, we're going to clear a lot of money from Jonathan Allen and also Harrison Smith, who could come back yet. Could we make a play for a big free agent? I've seen Leonard Floyd's name mentioned as well. What do you think, Eric, with even just the weight loss from Tyrion Ingram Dawkins? Can he make that switch over to edge?
I think he can absolutely make the switch. He at Georgia was constantly one of those guys that moved inside, outside on the defensive line. He can move from edge defender to interior threat, especially in a 3-4. He can play that outside interior D lineman, or he can play edge. And he's got the frame to add or lose weight as needed. I think he's fine being that guy that moves around. The bigger thing is, are they going to sign a veteran edge rusher, which I've thought for a while that they were going to. For a while now, I thought they were going to after we get past June 1st, but I don't know.
I want to make a shout out here real quick, and I'm going to add this real quick. Brevin Bain, I see Social Network. He just jumped in here. Congrats to Brevin Bain. He's a new purpleptsd.com managing editor. I want to give you a shout out, Brev. He also put in the comments, he goes, Steve, I want 20 articles on my desk by Monday. So my weekend shot. But absolutely, congrats, Brev, for getting the new role over at Purple PTSD. That's awesome, man. Thanks for joining tonight too. We'll have you on the podcast here coming up to formally congratulate you and kind of introduce you as in that role also. So congrats to you, buddy. All right. Other OTA storylines. Now, Dwight McGlothern. We got James Pierre that's in the role. So now we got a few. Is Dwight McGlothern with the addition of Charles Demings? Could he not make the team this year? That's a very real possibility, right?
I think it's 100% real possibility. I think he's one of those guys that so far has shown flashes in practices and camps, but just for whatever reason during the season in actual game reps, he has not earned the trust of Brian Flores. And I think over the last few years we've seen if Brian Flores doesn't trust you, he will not play you on game day. He will put somebody from another position in that spot before he puts you out there if he doesn't trust you to play at the level needed in the game. And I think we all like McGlothern, but at some point, if he's not able to get on the field, I don't think he makes the 53. And I could definitely see them moving on from him now that we have Demings. How many corners do we currently have on the roster?
Well, I was actually just going to bring this up. So when we look at the roster, we got Byron Murphy Jr., we have Isaiah Rogers, James Pierre, Charles Demings, we got Dwight McGlothern, we have Tavier Thomas, who's listed as a nickelback, but he's a safety. So not him. But an interesting thing, you got Zamiah Vaughn, but they also have Khalif Hailasi. So he has switched from the safety position. Now he's listed on the depth chart as a cornerback. He's listed third behind Byron Murphy Jr., Dwight McGlothern, and then it's Hailasi in front of Vaughn. So that I thought that was an interesting twist. I don't think I've seen anyone really mention that yet, but he's that's kind of a sneaky position change there. Where I think in preseason last year we saw Hailasi. He had a couple interceptions. He looked impressive. I had him making the 53 as a safety, but he didn't end up making the team on the 53. But he was able to get snuck through on the practice squad, and lo and behold, they're now looking to try to switch him to corner.
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest gripes with Brian Flores is going into last year with 4 corners on the roster. I did not like that, and we only played 3. If I had to say right now, I mean, I obviously Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rogers. They just brought in James Pierre. I think they're there. Demings is there. That's 4 already. If they keep a 5th, I'll be honest, at this point, they know what they have in Dwight McGlothern. They might not know completely what they have in Zamiah Vaughn. So if they're going to keep a 5th one, I might look to them keeping Zamiah Vaughn as that 5th guy. They also did bring in Marcus Allen, undrafted free agent from North Carolina that they, from what I understand, they like a lot. So I would expect them to try to get him onto the practice squad.
I think they keep at least 5, and that would be Murphy, Rogers, Pierre, Demings, and then I think that 5th spot would either be like a McGlothern, could it be Zamiah Vaughn, or who you mentioned as well too, or Hailasi. But I think just like with injuries and the way that things went last year, I would be surprised if they didn't keep at least 5 on the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would feel much better if they kept 5 on the roster.
Yeah, I just think that's now I'll go back to it. Brev, SKOL Network says Seattle brought in Clowney in 2019 when Teasley was one of the head guys of pro personnel. So basically what he's trying to signal here is, and I've seen this mentioned, is he's got a connection where, he might have liked, now this is 2019, Obviously Jadeveon Clowney's a little bit older. He'd be a rotational guy,
Right.
depth guy for us. But still, he's one of the names that I have also mentioned. I know Brev has as well too, and bringing in him. And we
Yeah.
need some depth on the edge side. Yeah, so I would
There's
love
a
bringing
few
in
names
Clowney,
that are still out there. I mean, you got Clowney still out there,
Floyd.
Hassan Reddick, Leonard Floyd, Joey Bosa, Gross Matos, Von Miller, AJ Epinesa. Like they're all still available. I know Kyle Van Noy's there, but I heard someone earlier mention that I guess he had a falling out with Flores in Miami, so I don't know if we'd see that. But there's options out there.
Norris says he loves Chuck Demings. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you draft Chuck Demings without the intention of keeping him on the roster.
Right.
Especially with the potential that he has. Brev also says, still think we should bring back Fabian Moreau. That could be a possibility if he's the fifth guy.
And the thing with Moreau is he doesn't need to be there in camp. He already knows Flores' system. He's a veteran. He's going to keep himself in shape. We could call him, in week 3 and bring him up or something.
Kyle Van Noy would probably be the smoothest scheme fit, Brev says, but not sure if he'd want to get back with Flores. Who knows? I mean, maybe the defensive guys, though, like Flores when he was over there in Miami. So that might not be an issue. Bosa, and I don't know how much Bosa has left in the tank. If you saw what he gave over in Buffalo, I don't know. I don't know if I think I'd roll the dice with Clowney before I'd go with Bosa. And plus,
I probably would too.
And Joey gets hurt so much too. He's had a lot of injury issues, and he did last year too.
I'll be honest though. I mean, even in Buffalo, I kind of like Epinesa, and he's only 27 years older. So
yeah, AJ Epinesa, yeah,
yep,
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, Clowney, Epinesa, Floyd. I don't know how much Reddick or Von Miller still have in the tank, but if they, Flores were to see them and he decided to sign them, I would assume they'd at least be solid contributors. So,
and I don't want to count out Zamiah Vaughn. What we saw in preseason last year, we saw some flashes of really being a good corner up and coming for this team. I mean, do we see that again this year? Could he be the fifth guy?
Well, and that's kind of my point with Dwight McGlothern. If you're looking at one spot left on the 53, if they're going to keep 5, again, McGlothern's been there for what, 3 years now?
At least 3, yep.
So they know what they have in him.
Right.
So at this point, if he hasn't been able to get on the field, I got to think that they would go with Zamiah Vaughn and the potential there over what they already know, unless he's made really big strides this offseason. So
another big talker has been offensive line, I think. Christian Darrisaw out there putting in work. I haven't heard anything bad about the offensive line so far. Obviously, you're doing a lot of 7-on-7 work. It's OTAs, so nobody's really getting hit yet. So I mean, there's that. I mean, you're not. I don't want to say that they're not going full bore at OTAs, but you saw the New York Giants. I think they had like 3 torn ACLs. So you always got full as well too. But cool to see Christian Darrisaw out there healthy. He's playing. No issues there. Blake Brandel. I haven't heard anything bad about what he's doing on the center.
He's solid at center.
So
but here's the question though: Do you think Brian? There's any fire to the smoke of Brian O'Neill holding out for a contract extension? He has no guaranteed money left on his contract, and this is the final year of his contract. And he is not. He's been the only starting offensive lineman that has not participated.
Well, this will be a good test for Nolan Teasley and his GM. To be able to handle that first contract situation if Brian O'Neill is truly looking to possibly hold. I mean, I think that I'm in the camp that he's still young enough. He's got some more years to where we should extend one of the best right tackles in the league. That's where I'm at.
I agree.
If we could keep Brian O'Neill, I think that we absolutely should.
Assuming that he's being reasonable with what he's asking for, I agree.
Correct. Absolutely. The thing that he's got to understand is, however those deals take place, we only have so much cap room. We still have to add potentially Harrison Smith if he's coming back to this team. And, what's best for the team is we also want to make sure that we're adding in maybe some edge depth, potentially even safety if it's not Harrison Smith. I don't think that's really changing our cap situation if we re-sign, depending on what he wants. But I mean, I can't see him wanting more than the contract necessarily that he's currently on, or much more than the contract he's currently on.
I think it would be more that he would just want an extension and more guaranteed money.
And I think that's fine. Brian O'Neill has been, over his career, one of the most reliable offensive linemen that we've had in this team in a long time.
Now, I will put out my own homer wish here. One of my favorite all-time players that played at Michigan is currently a free agent. He's been a big-time player, and he does have the skill set to play in Brian Flores' defense. He's still on the market if we don't get Hitman back, and that's my guy Jabril Peppers.
I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, it could get into a money thing for us too. It all depends. Some of these guys, they think they're worth more than what they are. Who knows? We'll have to see. Brev says O'Neill's at OTAs but sitting out. I'm not sure if he'd legit hold out. Yeah, I'm not sure if he would either. I mean, he doesn't come across as that type of guy. But he's always been a team guy, and I think Nolan Teasley, once he gets in, and he has I think once they get past some of these staffing issues, that's going to be one of the very first things that he needs to tackle is Brian O'Neill for sure. And then obviously I gotta
think that that's something they would be able to get done. I don't think he's going anywhere.
And again, Brian O'Neill has been one of the more consistent guys on this team for a long time. That's the kind of guy that you want to keep, who's been a glue piece for us on the offensive line. When maybe had some concerns last year with Will Fries, Blake Brandell. He's, for the first year, he's going to start at center. Never played the position, which I'm pro Blake Brandell. I've been screaming for him to be the center, so I'm kind of getting my wish here. But Donovan Jackson, he had some injury stuff too for a little bit last year. And then you take a look at what Darrisaw's been doing. So do you really want to potentially lose who's been your most consistent piece on the offensive line for a long time?
No, I'm an advocate for them to re-sign him. I mean, go ahead, or not re-sign, but extend him. I think they will. I mean, everything I've seen from him, he's a Vikings guy. He wants to be here. So I don't think he's going to actually sit out. I think that I got to think they'd get something done, unless his agent's just being really uncooperative or unreasonable in what they're asking.
Yeah, and there's a lot of players, like I was saying, there's tons of players that they're playing on their final year of their deal. And you can look at that both ways. That's a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing in a way that you should be getting their best because they're in a contract year. But on the other side of the line, do you have somebody that's trying to hold out because they want an extension? Oh my gosh. I love this. Spurs just knocked out the Thunder. Thank God. If any of you guys are Thunder fans or SGA fans, I'm sorry, but I'm not. So, yeah, go Spurs. They're just rooting for the Spurs. I can't take the flopping.
I don't like either one of them.
Yeah, so I really don't like either one of them, but I really despise the whole SGA flopping. You could say that he's protecting his ankles or whatever BS he gives. I'm not all about the flopping, so heck yeah, I'm out with the SGA. So that's good for me. All right, other things that we can probably talk about, other battles that maybe you want to talk about. Actually, let me throw it to you. Is there anything in OTAs before we get to the quarterbacks? Anything in OTAs that you want to talk about that's kind of been sticking out?
So I've been really pleased with the stuff I've been hearing about Ty Felton making strides over last year. I think we can agree he was a bit of a disappointment last year in what we saw from him. I'm hoping that he can step up to be a real contributor to the team going forward. Claiborne, I want to see him, develop some of the skills that he's missing out of college, because I would like to see him on the team long term.
And I've heard great things about Claiborne lately, as far as his speed and being, it definitely shows on the field.
Yeah, the speed is there. It's the ball security and the pass blocking. Those are the two biggest issues with him, and I'm not sure how much he's going to be able to improve those, and I want to be optimistic about it. So I'm sort of excited to see that.
And I don't think we'll see until we get to training camp and it gets more intense and we get joint practices.
Yeah.
I don't think that. I think that's where you'll really separate and kind of see some hits and, is the ball protection, have we improved? Have we worked on that? But to your point, he needs to do a better job than what he did in college with protecting the football. But I mean, the speed and his breakaway, I mean, he is a breakaway threat. He's a touchdown threat waiting to happen. It's just, can he work on that? Can he be that third piece?
Yeah.
Really that kind of mixes in with Jones.
Because right now, Mason. Who's the best backfield pass blocker?
Well, I mean, it's probably Bredesen.
Yeah. And I've made that point on here before. I
shouldn't say probably. It is Bredesen.
If it's a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13, and they know we're going to pass, you might as well put Brady back in the backfield because he's the best pass blocker, and they already know you're going to pass. But if it's 3rd and 4, who do you put in there for them to you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But
Barber Fade Up says Bell has been showing out as well.
That's encouraging. I was skeptical if he was going to translate to the NFL.
Dylan Bell is, when we start taking wide receiver depth, and he might be one where, we have to keep, so Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, Ty Felton. I don't think he doesn't make the team.
Right.
I think it'll be interesting because, Miles Price, and I think Miles Price did a great job returning last year. Do we keep a 6th, or does he somehow take over a 5th job? Dylan Bell's really been lighting it up, and I think, I don't think that there's any way if he goes to the practice squad, he's scooped up by somebody.
Well, I think the 6th spot is going to be taken up by Miles Price because he's listed as a wide receiver, even though he's mostly just a return guy. But I think we keep Price on there, and he would be that 6th wide receiver.
Sure. Jayshon Jones is listed in there too, and we've kept him for quite a few years. I think he's a reliable target in there. He could work in there, but Dylan Bell, I just don't know. I think a lot of people see him as he.
We've also got Dante Fleming. We also have Dante Fleming, 2nd-year player out of Tulane on there right now too.
Yeah, so some good battles to watch for sure on the wide receiving room. So good shout out, Barber.
I'd say the probably the player I'm most excited to watch. It's not really a battle, but I'm most excited to see his development is Dallas Turner. I am a big Dallas Turner fan, and now he's got the stage. So
I wouldn't have taken you for an Alabama guy, but
not an Alabama guy.
I'm kidding.
Not an Alabama guy, but I like Dallas Turner.
Yep. So we'll definitely have to look out for those different battles that we've seen, and I can't stress this enough. Jordan Addison, it's happening again. We're seeing clip after clip of Jordan Addison catching some deep balls with both Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy. So it's happening again where he's kind of blowing up in the offseason. I know it's only OTAs right now, but he's looking really good right now early. Hopefully we can have, I mean, he had the suspension last year, but hopefully this carries into the season and he can just kind of ride this momentum and just have a huge breakout season for us.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm a little hesitant to buy too much into the Addison camp hype, because I feel like the hype in camp for Addison specifically is always a little bit higher than what it happens during the season. That's not saying he's bad, but I've got a buddy of mine who last year all we heard about was the chemistry with him and JJ, and how he was gonna have an amazing season. And so I told a buddy of mine, yeah, fantasy football, if Jordan Addison's there, go ahead and grab him. And it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, but you could say the same for Justin Jefferson, and it all had to do with quarterback play. I think, if we had better quarterback play last year, those numbers would be different for both of those players.
But look at the
TJ
disparity.
Hawkinson.
But look at the disparity of what we heard last year in camp, and then the season.
Yeah, and I agree with Brev. I mean, here's the hesitancy, and that comes
100%. 100%.
He's
I'll be honest
about Jordan Addison. It's about having to pay him.
I'll be honest. Full disclosure. I probably would have seriously looked to trading him this year, because his value is next year is going to be half of what it was this year, because of the only having 1 year left on the contract.
Possibly, but again, if he blows up, has 1,000-yard receiving year this year, isn't he more valuable than he was coming off of a less than 600-yard?
Potentially, but the a lot of the value you can get in trades is because they'll have them on the rookie contract still. So that's why you see a lot of players like that get traded, that they know they're not going to re-sign. They get traded in year 3 or after year 3, because then they still have 1 year with an option on the cheap deal.
All right. So before we get into the QB battle, just so you guys are tracking with OTAs, this is what we're looking at right now. So we got OTAs again, June 1st, the 2nd, the 4th for OTAs. Then they got mandatory minicamp 9, 10, and 11. We go back to OTAs 15, 16, 17, and 18 in June. And then I haven't seen dates announced yet as far as when they report for rookies and veterans, late July. But that's what we're looking at right now for the off season. I know that 5 it should be a 6. I don't know why it looks like that, but AI, right? Not doing what I wanted it to do. All right. So anyways, OTAs, it's wrapping up. We're getting into the QB battle now. Here's a really short clip before we roll into the QB battle for what we've seen in OTAs. Addison. JJ McCarthy here. Addison. So these guys are hitting Addison. They're airing it out early. Again, you're not seeing from defense, so it's hard to take too much, from what we've seen of these two players. But let's talk about it, because now it's the QB competition, Kyler versus McCarthy. Obviously, you've seen the different clips that I was playing last week as well, too, when you have Tom Pelissero saying, this is a quarterback competition. You have ESPN, you have, was that Steve Smith, Sr., talking, saying that anybody with a heartbeat can beat J.J. McCarthy. And then he was talking about, as Kyler needs to stay off of Call of Duty. Like, I just felt like those were super lazy takes. I know Steve Smith is a all-time great wide receiver, but the Call of Duty thing that's been years ago for Kyler Murray. And I just think that, and I get that, I don't know, it just seems like he went into Google and typed in memes for Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy, and I'm going to take what they're saying about them and say that. Obviously, yeah. Kyler, he's matured. He's trying to play for a contract. We're going to get his absolute best. JJ, he's only played 10 games. The in the work with John Beck, working on mechanics. Coming into this season, we're hearing some good things, seeing some good things. It's early, but obviously the kid's gonna get better, you know? So I don't like the lazy takes. These guys are gonna come in. McCarthy's battling to take his job. And we've seen some of the things that, they said about each other, about the relationship. And McCarthy's, clip where he says it's just like two guys in a classroom. He sits on one side, I sit on the other side. You know what? The Vikings wanted, when they brought whoever, even before it was Kyler Murray, they wanted somebody to bring in some and probably bring out a little bit of fire in JJ McCarthy. So I'm not gonna take much of that. Was that maybe the polished answer? No, it wasn't. But should he feel like there's another guy? I'm not happy with another guy coming in here trying to take my job, and he shouldn't be. You know, even Kyler Murray's response, it was polished. As a veteran who's been in the league for 8 years, but at the same time, I don't want to hear the canned answers. I really don't care about any of that. I want to see what you can do on the field. Thoughts?
So, I mean, obviously, you know what side I fall on. But
I
if I
do,
can,
but
I'd like to make a disclaimer for those that watch this, because they're like, I've said this before, but people seem to not hear it. I don't hate Kyler Murray. I'm not even upset that we signed Kyler Murray. My entire problem with the whole situation is that I do not believe that it's a fair competition. I don't believe that Kyler Murray signs with one team without taking a trip to see any other team, when he had options at other teams where he could start if he has to battle JJ here. I don't think he signs without visiting another team that easily, unless he got promised a head start in the battle, if not week one starter guaranteed. That's my entire problem. Now, I will say, what I've seen so far, at least what they've shown us, maybe I'm wrong, because they did what you should do in a battle. JJ is the incumbent starter. He got the first team reps in OTAs. I did not think he was going to. I thought they were going to go straight to Kyler. So they are showing signs that the battle may be legit. And as I've said before, if it is a legit battle and JJ gets beat out, I have no problem with that. I just wanted it to be a fair battle.
Even if it's not, and this is the scenario, they're both getting plays with the ones, and this just say in the back of KOC's mind, he's planning on playing Murray, or leaning towards Murray. Obviously Murray has more experience. He's got 87 starts under his belt. Like I said, he's got 8 years. That's significant.
Yeah, absolutely.
10 games for McCarthy. But
what I don't want to see is, I don't want to see JJ have made improvements and win the camp battle, and it doesn't matter, Kyler still starts week one. If that's the case, that's what I have a problem with, and that's what I believe to be true. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and I will get on here on your show and say I was wrong. My bad, KOC. Let's go Vikings.
I think it's going to be hard for McCarthy to beat him out. I think if it's close, I think they want to see what Kyler has, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But regardless, I like how they're doing it, to where they're going to bring out, because at least the appearance is right now that it's a fair quarterback competition. Right now, this is going to bring out the best of both of these guys to try to beat the other.
So I do think that if in a fair competition, JJ has a better chance than people are giving him to win the competition. And this is the homer take, I'll get it out of the way. I've watched JJ since IMG Academy. He is one of the most competitive people you will ever see. Now, he doesn't get rude about it, and I'm going to touch on that again in just a second when we talk about his comments. But he is super competitive, and he has a crazy work ethic. So I promise you, he has made huge strides in his development. Now, remember, he didn't get to make strides in his development last year. He was still healing from the injury at this time last year. He was just getting back to being able to work out. So he didn't get to do the off-season workouts like he did after last year. But He's been now in KOC's offense, a very complicated offense, which Kyler even said, for going into his 3rd season. He knows the system better than Kyler right now. He's already got the trust of the locker room. They voted him a captain last year, and as we've heard many veterans say, he never lost the locker room. I do think that he has a chance to beat Kyler. I'm not saying it's a guarantee. There's absolutely Kyler has the experience. He was a number 1 draft pick for a reason. He was a Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. I don't hate Kyler Murray. I make jokes about his height. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I think the immaturity thing that's been said about both of them is way overblown. The whole Call of Duty thing with Kyler Murray, it's crazy.
That's
overblown.
crazy. Yep.
The thing with JJ, them calling him immature is so stupid to me. With this comments that he made, JJ is one of those guys that wears his heart on his sleeve. He is always genuine. He's been trained on how to talk to media, but he can't help but be honest. Okay. So that's what you guys have seen for the last 2 seasons. He comes out into every press conference and he's a genuinely himself. He's not going to give you, like you said, the canned answers. So when you've got an ultra competitive person and he's in a battle for his position, that's where you get the responses that he got. Now, I do think they were a little bit short with the media because I think JJ, to whatever extent you want to believe it, to some extent he feels betrayed by the media. He has been out there for the last 2 years being honest, giving you guys everything he could, and he's watched the media who he tried to befriend call him a bust, call him a bad football player, to call him immature, all this stuff over the last few months. And now it feels like he doesn't trust the media. And I don't blame him for that. But I don't think he was taking shots at Kyler. I think that what Kyler said about them communicating, talking, JJ asking him questions, I think that's absolutely still true. And 2 things can be true at once. JJ is also super competitive. So he's in that classroom. He's on that field competing with Kyler. I don't think there's any animosity between the two, but there's absolutely competition between the two.
Yeah, just the comments. I know that we have people on both sides of the coin as far as JJ and Kyler. I don't really, from my take, I'm not taking sides. I want JJ to, at the same time, I want Kyler to do well. I'm hoping one of these 2 guys comes out better than what they came in to, because they're pushing, and out of that year from a starting quarterback. And whether it's Kyler Murray, we still don't know. If he balls out and has a great year, we don't know that he's truly going to sign with us and what that looks like as a franchise quarterback and how much money he's going to want. And if it is close this year, whether or not Kyler does play well this year, there's still a chance to say, hey, we have something with JJ.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not willing to the money for Kyler.
Well, and again, I don't have a problem with Kyler. If Kyler wins the battle legitimately, I have no problem with the signing, even if he wins it illegitimately. Because people want to say I'm not a real Vikings fan. I'm telling you right now, if I don't care who's the starter, on Sunday, I'm going to be cheering for the Vikings, whether it's Kyler, whether it's JJ. I want us to win. I don't have a problem with Kyler. I have a problem with what I think happened with the signing. I also think it was a bad signing long term. And I brought this up on a show with Rapp and Brev before he got signed.
I mean, it was
well. Here, let me explain why.
Million.
Right? No, that's no. I can, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that there's points that outweigh that. But I agree that makes it where you have to at least consider. Okay, let's play this out for a second. If Kyler comes in, he has a no franchise tag clause. He has a no trade clause, although if they were going to trade him because if he wasn't going to be the starter, he'd waive it. But let's say he has a really good season. Okay, then we re-sign him to a long-term contract and we've got our quarterback. But outside of that one scenario, let's say he has a okay season, a good season, but not quite great. Maybe we just miss the playoffs, or we get to the playoffs and lose in that game. And what do? Do you sign a 30-year-old Kyler Murray to a long-term contract when he didn't have a great year? Do you pick up the 5th-year option on J.J. McCarthy, still having only seen him in 10 games? Or do you cut bait with both of them and go into the draft and get another quarterback? I don't like any of those options.
As far as J.J. McCarthy, as far as this, I think we've talked about it, but I mean, it's not the right way to develop a quarterback bringing in Kyler Murray. So in that sense, yes, I agree with you in that terms.
So,
but the 1.3, it was hard not to bring him in.
Agreed.
For that kind of a deal.
Agreed. But it only pays off if he has an outstanding season. And he could. But that's one of 5 or 6 different likely scenarios, and we don't know which one it's going to be. And my argument is, if we didn't sign him and we brought JJ back, we ride with JJ for 2026, and he either sinks or swims. And by the end of the season,
and I would have been okay with that.
And by the end of the season, we either know we have our franchise guy for the next 10 years, or we don't, and we're going in with a high draft pick in a very loaded QB draft class.
Yep, and I would have been okay with.
And I feel like either one of those outcomes is a much cleaner path forward. For the team.
Yeah, before the Kyler Murray signing, that's where I was as well too. My preference is to roll with JJ to see what you truly have, because you saw development and growth towards the end of the year in 2025. Right. But again, for 1.3 million, it's hard to say a bad deal. And now that he's here, hopefully they can push you to make it. And we got to just see where it goes from this point.
And I agree, for the short term, 1.3, you can't pass it up. But I think that long term, it's a bad signing unless he has an outstanding MVP level year.
And that's where this guy, our new GM, is going to come into play and have a tough decision. I have to show you, because this picture just kills me. Every time I see this picture on it, it's just like it makes me chuckle a little bit. But Nolan Teasley, he's going to have a decision on his hands as far as what to do after this season, depending on how it plays out. Regardless, I've talked about this. Even if Kyler is the starter, I think McCarthy needs to do what he needs to do. When I was talking to Greg Holcomb, I had him on the show. The big thing was in talking to him too, and he agreed with me that JJ he's gonna be ready for when it's his time to play, whether that's with the Vikings or another team down the road. But I truly believe that, yes, I believe Kyler does and he does start the season. But I do think there's an opportunity where it's possible Kyler gets nicked up. Maybe we're just by a lot. And we bring in McCarthy to see what he's got. McCarthy has got to be ready. So when he gets that opportunity, he can show that, hey, I do have the potential to be a quarterback of either the team or somewhere else. And I want to see the young kid succeed, whether it's here or somewhere else. I think he's got a lot that he needs to prove. Obviously, he has to prove that he can stay healthy, that he can be accurate, and make decisions with the football. He's got to be able to do that and fair. At the same time, those that are judging him after only 10 games, I think that has been unfair. And just, the memes and everything else, social media does what social media does. The kid's 22. He's going to
23 now.
23 now. But, he's going to be better than what he was in 25. So you got to give the kid a fair shake as well too.
Yeah, and if JJ gets traded in preseason, I'm still going to be a Vikings fan, and I'm still going to be a JJ fan. Like that's why it bugs me so much. People think that I've been accused multiple times of not being a real Vikings fan. I'm going to be a Vikings fan whether JJ's the starter, whether he's not, whether he's on the team, or whether he's not. I'm always going to be a JJ McCarthy fan because I've been a JJ McCarthy fan since his senior year of high school. But I think that I want a long-term I want the long-term health of the team. And I just saw the Kyler Murray thing as a short-term fix. And correct me if I'm wrong, But that's been one of the biggest problems with the Vikings over the years, is that they're always looking at the short-term fix.
Yeah. Zoe's in here. Zoe,
What up, Zoe?
In the Zone Sports. Make sure that you're following him too. At In the Zone Sports. He's really doing podcasts all the time, so he's on different shows a lot too. So go check out and hit up Zoe. But guys, it's that time where I want you to start picking your teams. Okay, because we're almost towards the end of the show. So I want you to pick your one NFL team that someone hasn't picked and one college team. Again, once somebody has picked them in the comments, you cannot pick that team. So I'm going to make you pick a different team. And like I said, you're going to pick a college and NFL team. If I pull that team out of this card, you get that 101. I'm going to mail it to you. We've had 2 winners already. SKOL Mafia has won, and then also TJ PDX. And then if you win tonight, I'm also going to throw in this red, white, and blue select JJ McCarthy rookie card. So
and if someone that doesn't like JJ wins that, you can send it to me.
And I see Norris. He's taking Notre Dame and the Vikings. I see Kinetic is taking the Ravens and Tulane.
Now I did that so that people because I always get Michigan and the Vikings. I wanted other people to get them. Yeah. If nobody else picks Michigan, give me Michigan.
Brav is going Iowa State and Dolphins. TJ PDX trying to win again, says Bengals, USC Trojans. Bob Swede, who do you got? Bob, I haven't seen teams from you. You better get in on this too. Too evil, you hear? You got to jump in on this. Bob Swede, need your 2 teams. All right, while you guys are getting teams here yet, remember, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you go to Vikings Playbook on YouTube. Once we get to 250, I think we only have maybe we might even be under 100 now on our way to do this Jordan Addison giveaway. Once we get to 250, one of you that are subscribers on YouTube are going to receive this autographed jersey of Jordan Addison, and then we're going to have a new mark and a new helmet. I'm going to go to helmets next for an autographed helmet that I'm going to do for a giveaway. So make sure that you're subscribed, guys. Go check it out. Get subscribed. Set your alerts so you don't miss a single one episode of Vikings Playbook. Bob Swede, you got an NFL team and a college team? Make sure you throw that in there.
Well, we're letting everyone do that. Can I take a moment real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that's in the chat that is over the past 2 years, when I've been coming on Rap Show and in the chats, and even when I went on Purple Daily and people reached out, donated to my GoFundMe over the last 2 years for me while I was fighting to get my disability and heading into these surgeries. I just want to give an update that I got my disability. It got approved. I got the settlement check. I got the monthly payments start next month. I am no longer in danger of not being able to pay bills. And I just want to give that update and say thank you to everybody in the community that reached out and helped me over the last 2 years, that text me, that messaged me, sometimes even just to check on me. It all mattered so much. So I just want to say thank you to everybody in the community that sees this for the support that they've given me the last 2 years.
Thanks for that update, Eric. And again, yeah, thanks for everyone that donated and helped Eric out along his way. Kinetic, congrats from Brev. He says in the chat as well too. Again, this JJ McCarthy rookie card, red, white, and blue, is going. I don't see it, Bob Swede. I don't see your teams. I'm about to do this rip here, guys. So here we go. Bob Swede, if you get in real quick, we'll add you in here. All right.
So if nobody else picked Michigan, I'm going to switch Tulane to Michigan.
I don't know.
I didn't see anybody else pick them.
No, I didn't. I didn't see Michigan.
So I'll go Ravens, Michigan then.
Ravens, Michigan. That's official. You guys saw that or heard it.
I was just trying to leave it open, not always pick like top teams.
Same team.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Don't tell me it was Tulane.
Well, nothing this week. So we are Miami.
Okay.
Is who's winning this week.
Okay.
Bart Pringle is going to be the card this week. So I'm going to move this to next week, and I'm actually going to do something a little bit different next week. We'll see what we do. Maybe I'll do this for the next time I do 101s. I actually have a different card pack where I'm just going to ask you guys to do players because I'm going to open up a pack. So you're going to have a more variety, but it's going to be actual NFL teams. So I'm going to open up a pack of optics. So now downtowns are in play. So we're talking big money cards potentially.
Hey Steve, when do the Vikings usually put out or make available jerseys for the new draft picks that come in?
I would have to look on that, but you should be seeing that here by training camp.
Okay, because one of the first things I did when I got approved was go on and I was looking at what jerseys I wanted to get.
Yeah,
I was looking at like 4 or 5 of them, but I stopped because Bredesen's not available yet. So.
Yeah, I think they have to, because the biggest thing is they have to make sure that everyone gets signed and all that good stuff first.
Right.
But now that that's all happening, I would say that being everyone's picked their numbers and they're solid with that.
Yep.
Now every rookie, they should be part of the new jerseys that are coming out here. I would say within the next month and a half, we should probably see those.
Okay. If you or somebody happens to see that they release them, give me a shout on X. Just let me know because I want to order some new Vikings jerseys as soon as those are available.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Hey,
I want to give a quick shout out again, Eric. Thanks for joining today and popping in. I know it wasn't planned, but I appreciate you coming in, adding some commentary with me too, and some analysis on what we've seen from OTAs, our new GM with Nolan Teasley and the QB battle that we talked about as well too. So we have more OTAs coming up this next week that we'll look to answer a little bit more on. But I'm actually going to have Ben Thies from SKOL Marketing on with me here. It'll probably actually be a recorded piece with him because I'll have to do that during the week. That will air next Saturday, so I may not have all the OTAs here, but Ben Thies he's the CEO and owner of SKOL Marketing, so he's going to be on with me, and that's going to be a really cool episode with him. But I am going to have that as a recorded piece, but don't worry, we're still going to do a card break, and you'll have me live at the end of that, so don't worry about that. Make sure that you're joining me next Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Time, and I want to thank everyone that joined in the comments. Of course, all the regulars that I see in here: Brav, Bob Swede, Norris, Too Evil, all you guys, man. Zoe joining as well. TJ PDX, I appreciate you joining as well too. I know I saw Two Tone in here as well too. Barber. Adding and more. So I just want to say thank you for you guys tuning in, but make sure that you're reposting, you're sharing. Let's get the word out. That way we can get to that magical number of 250. I can give away to one of you guys this Jordan Addison jersey for being a subscriber here, and I can get to more giveaways yet this season. So thank you so much. Eric, any last words before we sign off?
No, I'd like to ask, the chat guys, when Steve has guests on here, especially live, be respectful of the guests. Ask questions, and they can even be, hard questions, but don't be disrespectful in the chat. Those guys are coming on. They're coming on to Steve's show to give you guys answer your guys' questions, to give you information, to give you content to watch or listen to. Don't be rude to them.
Thanks for that, Eric. Appreciate it. And I see some comments on SKOL Fest on here. I'm not sure. Usually it's that first week. I really want to go to SKOL Fest really bad. I haven't brought it up yet to my wife, and I don't know if that's going to work or not. So my kids' birthdays are both in those first 2 weeks of September. So that's going to be a hard one for me. But we'll see what works out. I'm also going to make sure that I give a shout out to you guys and let you know when I'm going to training camp this year. If it works out for you guys and you're at training camp at the dates that I am, please come see me. I'm planning on doing maybe some lives while I'm there, and I'd love to get some of you guys that are maybe going to training camp too. So thanks so much. Appreciate you guys joining. Thanks again. For Eric, thanks for joining. And then I'm Steve. This has been Vikings Playbook. Your Sunday starts here, guys, with us next Saturday at 9 p.m. CST, and I'll have SKOL Marketing, Ben Thies, on with me too. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate you, and we'll